Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) say life has been miserable for Nigerians and workers under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. In separate statement by the head of Information and Public Affairs of NLC, Benson Opa, and TUC President Festus Osifo, they lamented the economic hardship workers and other Nigerians are grappling with due to high inflation, foreign exchange crisis, food inflation, and energy crisis. They said life has worsened considerably under Tinubu's government. In the meantime, the president of the Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, says organized labor considered many factors before coming up with the 615,000 naira minimum wage proposal. Mr. Osifo said this during an interview on Channels Television. He said organized labor is awaiting the federal government's counteroffer on its proposed minimum wage. As you may know, organized labor wants the government to increase the minimum wage of workers from 30,000 naira to 615,000 naira following the economic impact of the removal of petrol subsidy, and a final decision is expected soon. Yesterday, the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission announced the federal government has approved a 25 to 35% increase in the salary structure of police officers, the armed forces and police servants, among others. The salary raise took effect January 1st, 2024. A statement by head of press, Emmanuel Njoko, said the approved increase of between 25 and 35% in salary is for civil servants on the remaining 6 consolidated salary structures. The salary increase is, however, separate from that being discussed at the ongoing negotiations between the government and labor unions. Still on labor matters, workers in the private sector say job insecurity, long working hours, limited career advancement opportunities, and inadequate benefits are some of the challenges they face. Speaking to a correspondent, they called on private organizations to prioritize their mental and physical health alongside profit. Their call is in line with this year's theme, which is Workers First.
Stability that government workers enjoy is not the same as private officials, because a change in ownership, a slump in revenue, a negative effect on government policy, this kind of economic experience can lead to a termination track.
Private time days that do not want to consider, just to know that you bring the targets whether you are sick or not. So.
Lack of flexibility. For instance, now at my workplace, we don't have holidays like other people. So when other people are going on holiday, we come to work.
Comparing the work life in Nigeria and other countries, some Nigerians living abroad highlight significant differences.
When you work in here, there are limitations as to the number of hours you're supposed to work. So in comparison to Nigeria, where you can work more and still work overtime, also the difference in minimum wage is quite big here in the UK, where the least I think now is about £11.50 per hour. So it's an hourly pay rate compared to Nigeria that is, more like a monthly or weekly wages.
While I was in Nigeria, I was like a young lecturer in the university, and something that was different was I felt stifled in many areas. It just felt as if you had to make yourself smaller. But here in the US, it's totally different. Airing your opinion is encouraged. Mentors want to really see you succeed. People want to see you shine.
You get paid even when you're sick. The beautiful thing about UK is when you keep working and you don't even take your leave, they'll ask you if you're actually okay.
Also, a public relations expert, Dimma Chukundubisi, talked about some actions that can be taken to improve working conditions in Nigeria.
Establishment of government policies that will regulate the contract of workers holistically. So that way, a government can track the way some of these private heads take advantage of their workers and, necessarily doing the right thing. Then a lot of private individuals also have to maybe establish labor unions for themselves so that they can use it as a means to negotiate with their bosses.
International Workers' Day is celebrated to teach workers about their rights, create better working conditions, and help them move forward. The federal government declared today a public holiday to mark this year's Workers' Day. In other news, the federal government has announced a free passenger train ride for 4 days on the rehabilitated Port Harcourt to Aba Railway. The free Train rides would be from today to Saturday. Train operations from Port Harcourt to Aba officially started on Tuesday. It followed the flag-off of the rehabilitated and reconstructed Port Harcourt-Aba section of the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri Eastern Narrow Gauge Railway project by the Minister of Transportation, Ahmed Alkali.
The Eastern Narrow Gauge covers 5 geopolitical zones of the country. I'm happy that today we are going to put one segment, as this is the first presence of the Railway Corporation in the South Nigeria. So we are prepared. We are going to ride on the train from Port Harcourt to Aba, and from today the passenger train will commence. From Aba we are going to proceed to Enugu, and from Port Harcourt to One Port and Port Harcourt Port, so that we'll be able to put freight service in the corridor.
In the meantime, prospective train passengers are expected to pay 1,500 naira for first class against the 800 naira it used to be, while second class passengers are now to pay 800 naira as against 200 naira paid before the train operation was suspended. The minister explained the reason for the new price regime.
You see, the ministry is considering a lot of things. In fact, as we speak, we have engaged an investor or retrofitting our locomotive from diesel to CNG, so that to further bring down the cost of transportation. That has reached an advanced stage. This line has been test run by this locomotive for barely 1 week now, and we have not had any issue. So by the grace of God, we won't have any issue of a loco breaking down along the road.
Correspondent Suemiruwari reports that the Minister for Transportation and his entourage, including traditional rulers, senior officers from the Federal Ministry of Transportation and staff of Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC), among others, boarded the train from Port Harcourt to Aba. Still to come, Nigerian Communications Commission JAM in talks for special SIM card for students. Stay with us.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info. We'll be back.
To the news, some Port Harcourt residents say they are frustrated due to the prolonged heat wave, especially at night. In an interview with our correspondent, they said the situation has been worsened by rising inflation, high electricity tariff, and petrol scarcity.
Children's body are no longer smooth. Adults are complaining the sun is too much and there is no light again. You can even manage the heat process maybe within the day, but at night when you have to rest, the electricity is not there.
At night, you see me waking up 2 to 3 times midnight to go and bath, to just make sure that my body is a little bit calm for me to sleep. There's no money for us to buy the fuel, but let us just make it available. The heat is too much. The NNPC is blaming marketers is blaming NNPC.
They'll bring lights in the morning, then they'll take it around 5 in the evening. When you're talking about this heat wave, it's very much in the markets. That place is very, very hot.
You will just imagine how somebody will finish bathing and come out sweating.
Meanwhile, an environment specialist, Dolbra Bersibe, has explained why the heat wave has persisted despite rainfalls.
Increasing emissions, you drive out into the streets of Port Harcourt, you see cars, you're in your neighborhood, generators are turned on as a result of the power outage, releasing emissions. All these emissions, which majorly, a number of them contain carbon dioxide, that are responsible for trapping heat in the atmosphere, which results in global warming. It's hotter in the cities compared to the rural areas. In my neighborhood, I can count the number of trees in my locality. Trees are cleared off, replaced with houses. That balance that trees offer is completely lost.
On her part, medical expert Doris Ibe warned against using harsh substances to treat any type of heat rash on babies.
Depending on the kind of rash,
Some of them may be some form of allergic rash. Some truly could be from the... See, allowing a doctor to take a look at the rash is very important. But not all rashes that does empower that cures. So when we see the rashes, we will be able to differentiate what could be the possible cause of the rash and then what better apply. Calamine lotion sometimes helps, especially if it's heat rashes. Basically helping to cool the body, not necessarily treating the rash itself, but will help the child to be comfortable because heat rashes can be itchy at night time.
Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, are in talks over the provision of a specialized SIM card for students which would feature limited services. The Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, Professor Isha Koloyede, disclosed this yesterday. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it is ready to do whatever it takes to reduce the inflation rate. The CBN's acting director of the Banking Supervision Department, Adetona Adedeji, disclosed this today. Mr. Adedeji also justified the bank's reliance on the loan deposit ratio to control the country's rising inflation. In entertainment, Blue Ivy Carter, the 12-year-old daughter of Beyonce and Jay-Z, had joined the upcoming Lion King prequel, Mufasa: The Lion King. After a 50 stretch of the long expressway crumbled, authorities have not spoken on the cause of the incident.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's have a look at the major stories. Governor Fubara and his deputy are attending the May Day rally in Port Harcourt. Organised Labour has justified the 615,000 naira new minimum wage proposal. Federal government announces pay rise for military personnel, others. Nigerian Communications Commission and JAMB are in talks for special SIM card for students. On the foreign scene, slice of mountainside highway has collapsed, killing 19 people in China. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Mwanyele. Many thanks for listening.